Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the broadcast. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Monday, April 29th, 2019 edition of the broadcast. Thank you very much for being here with me again for another show. I've got, I was going through my files today. I was going through on my browser or whatever, and that's probably not a surprise for somebody like me who's constantly researching, constantly news hounding and all that. I've got stuff stacked up here. It's been stacked up for weeks. I got a ton of news stories, and I'd like to be able to get through the backlog of those for you on the show today. So there's lots of different topics, lots of different things for me to get into here. And I'll do my best to get into as many of them as I can for you tonight. What I don't get into tonight, we'll get into tomorrow. So, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff, a lot of crazy shit. As per usual, as usual. Would you expect anything less, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think you would. But it's great to be back with you here again for another show. I did a show over the weekend too on Saturday. Little makeup show the day before, so back here with you again tonight. Trying to remember what all I want to discuss and get into with you here. There's a lot. Yeah, I got a ton of news, ton of crazy stories, tons of stuff to give you my take and opinion on. So we'll get into all that for you here tonight. Hope you had a nice weekend. Hope you're back ready for another week of craziness. As I'm working on films, like I am now, and working feverishly to finish Spellcasters 2, that I've been trying to, because originally I was trying to make it just one film. Once I made the decision to split it into two films now, but now I'm thinking about releasing it in pieces. I'm thinking I'm almost done with enough. I've just been going back and forth between that. I want you to see all of it. Then part of me is like, I should maybe work up to a certain point, get one part of it done, release, part two as two parts. So I'm still kind of going back and forth on that, but I'm getting real close. And had we not had the computer issues a week ago, and I hadn't had to spend a bunch of money to get a bunch of computer parts, I would be a lot closer. But hey, at this stage in the game, we had so many setbacks and problems that I'm just not getting mad and frustrated about it anymore. I'm just putting my head down, continue to do the work, and, continuing to make this the best I can and present it. And it's come along. I mean, I've talked about this before, but I've made the mistake in the past of rushing stuff out the door, and I really regret it now. I'm not a person that likes to go through life having regrets. I usually don't. And, but I do regret pushing some of those early films out quick. And then when I took my time with a film like Lost Secrets of Ancient America, Volume 1, and Spellcasters, Volume 1, both of those, I took more time than I wanted to. And, those two are amongst my best films, if not my best films. So they're definitely both my high selling films. Not, just like with bands, though, the highest selling album doesn't mean it's always the best album, but in some cases it is. So I'm very happy to report to you that I'm really finally feeling like I'm not going to have those feelings when this film is. And I know it's frustrating for a lot of you who've been waiting for this film to come out. I know I've had a lot of setbacks of health problems and stuff. I've gotten past that. I've fought through that. The usual problems with funding and all that stuff that happen. But, that's always going to happen. But my point is that even when I'm taking time off from the show, not doing as many shows to work on the films, I always am still, my routine never changes. There's still a percentage part of my day that's spent researching and also gathering news stories and stuff up like that. It's a constant thing for me. A lot of people, most people really, I never found anybody besides me that were, most people get to a point and they just stop, It's kind of like, I think they kind of view it kind of how academics and teachers and stuff like that view it. They get to a certain point in their learning and then they just become teachers, and the learning for them shuts off because they're not trying to learn anymore. They're just trying to instruct people on the things that they know and have memorized. It's not that way for me. This is a constant, ongoing research effort on all these topics. So that's kind of how I'm going to view things, and especially with my work, I think that's how I'm going to do it. I think I'm not saying that all the topics that I've done films about so far are the only topics I'm ever going to do films about. I have topics. I have topics to make documentary films about the last 3 lifetimes, but I do think that some of the stuff that I've established, like the CMP type of stuff with the Secret Right films, the Lost Secrets information and stuff that I've done with those films, and now with the Spellcaster stuff, which entails all the stuff in Volume 1, Scientology, Hollywood, and now with the music industry and that whole thing. I think I'm just going to continue, like I said, not to say that I'm not going to put other documentaries out in the future on other topics, but I do think that I'm just going to kind of treat those films and all the stuff I've done to this point as kind of as ongoing series, I want to go back and do another CMP related film that's much better than the ones I've done before. I want to do another Lost Secrets film and put out all the stuff that I had gathered for Volume 3 before we ran out of funding for that. I still want to do a rock wall dig and document that and make a movie out of that. And with this Spellcaster stuff, again, it's an ongoing research thing, and I learned so much during the process of making these films, which is really what makes it worth it. It's the only thing, really, because every time I do a film or I go into a research effort, I come out of the end of it much better than I was going into it. I'm a better researcher. I have a better grasp on the information, and it's just a real level up every time I do it. So I'm really happy to say to you all that, look, I know it's, you've been waiting forever. I understand. I get it. And, but you got to trust the process, and the process and the research and all that stuff is the number one most important thing, not, rushing something out just cause you need to get it out, and like I said, I'm really, I mean, a lot of shit, it sucked. I wanted it to be out a year ago, but shit happens. That's life. But now it's starting to really get close, and now it's starting to get more exciting, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel for the first time, really, and just I feel confident about the outcome. I feel confident about the material and the look of it and everything. So I'm really getting excited about it. It really is. It's going to be, these 2 films are going to be great. And I'm excited about what I'm going to do and what I'm going to work on after that. So that's going to be the best thing about getting these films out very soon. And I hope to have both of them done and out. The 2 I'm hoping to have out in the next week and a half or so. If I hadn't had that setback, it would have been a lot sooner. And then Volume 3, I'll work on having out about a month after that. So I'm getting real excited about the process. But I've also tried to institute more balance with, the shows and doing this. Because, I want to do some other shows as well. A lot of people really want me to do a music type show. I really want to do that. Because, as far as in the field of like, conspiracy and research and all this stuff, there isn't anybody, because I'm really not a fan of anybody anymore. So there really isn't anybody I want to interview. When I was starting out early on, I had the people that I was into at the time, and I ended up interviewing all those people. But doing a show about music where I'm very knowledgeable, just as knowledgeable as I've told you about music and stuff as I am about conspiracy research and all this stuff. There's a real there's a whole bunch of people, in the music field that I'd love to interview. So, yeah, that's another thing I'm going to be doing in the future, doing a music show, all that. So, I'm very excited and very glad to have you all here with me on the journey. This is our fundraising week where we have to raise all of our money for our operating costs of the month. Again, we don't have sponsors and outside funding and all that. And we have a minimum amount we have to reach every month just to keep the lights on and the studio operating and everything. So I'm happy to report, though, we're getting closer. We now have only $925 left to go on our monthly operating cost fundraiser. 9 people, $100 each is what we need. Really what we need is one person at like 500 or 400 or 500. And then the rest, if we get other people, small amounts and $100 each. But 9 people at $100 each, one person at 500 and 4 at $100 would get it done. One person at 25, whatever. But we have to have that total amount by the end of the day on Wednesday. So check out all the perks on there. As I told you in the previous show, we also have a special deal going on this week only. In the Podbean Global Reality Radio Network archives, the member archives, you can get a membership. As I've said, with the problems with YouTube and stuff like that, the most reliable way to keep up with the show. And we are going to be doing some member exclusive shows very soon that are only going to be in the archives. We'll still be doing YouTube. I made the decision. I'm not going to fucking go cold turkey on you guys and yank all the shows. It's not be putting any more shows on YouTube anymore. It's silly. You got to find balance in life. And that's what I've been trying to do with this stuff, is to find a balance between having some shows on YouTube and having some in the archive. So just, as a bonus for the people, because we got lots of people out there that, well, I wouldn't say lots, not a whole lot. If we had a lot, we'd be fucking gravy. But we have some people out there who a small number who have memberships. And, you get the shows first instantly. And sometimes, you won't get a show on YouTube till 6-7 hours after it's done. So you want to stay current, and you want to get shows also that aren't on YouTube. There's tons in the archives on the members' archives that are not on YouTube and not available anywhere else. They're only going to get in there if you get an archive membership. So you can do it monthly, where you pay by the month, $10 a month. That comes out to like $120 a year. For $80, you can get a year membership. That's way cheaper than paying it by the month, $10 a month. 6 months is like $45, and 3 months is like $28. But we also have the lifetime pass, where it's $500, and you get the lifetime. For this week only, the lifetime pass is on sale for $400. So that's a great way to support our work and get yourself the lifetime membership to the archives. I need to be clear about something, because I had one person who was confused on this, and it's totally my fault. It's not that person's fault. I should have explained this better, and I appreciate them pointing this out to me, because it is. I guess it could be kind of confusing. I can see where it totally could be confusing, and that's my bad. The archive, the members archive thing, the special deal, the $400 deal. The way you find that is you can go to my website, theglobalreality.com, and on the right-hand upper part of the page, there's a subscribe button. You click that, it opens up a page that takes you to Podbean and has all the different plans in there. That is something totally different than the operating cost fundraiser. And the operating cost fundraiser, which I told you we have 925 left to go, one of the perks that we have this month is if you donate $400, you get lifetime downloads from the download shop. Now, this is totally different. The download shop doesn't have a login or anything else. It strictly only runs on the download links. So, like, when you go to my store and you buy a copy of Spellcasters or something like that from the download shop, it sends you the link and you download it. Same thing here, except it has to be done manually. So when whenever you want downloads, that's the other thing. If you donate $100 you get 4 free downloads. And we have people that donate this, and sometimes they don't ever get their, they don't ever claim their downloads, which is, that's okay. But if you want to get them, you have to contact me. You have to email me, and then I'll be able to send you the links after that. So just to be clear, on the campaign fundraiser page for the operating costs, one of the perks for $400 is lifetime downloads from the store. That's the store where I sell the downloads for the movies, the films, the presentations, the audiobooks, all that stuff. So if you contribute for $400 on the operating cost, you'll get lifetime downloads from the store. The other $400 thing is separate from that. That's just a deal we've got going on for the subscription prices for the members archive. So I want to be clear, because we had someone who's confused on that. So And again, I didn't explain that properly on the previous show, and I could totally see where somebody would get confused with that. So that's my bad. So there you go. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and let me know. globalrealityshow@gmail.com, and I will assist you. You can also, if you want to use a credit card or debit card or a prepaid card, just go to my website, theglobalreality.com, scroll down all the way to the bottom, the right-hand side. There's a donate button. Click that, and that'll take you to a page where it'll process it through PayPal, but you won't have to use a PayPal account or anything like that. You can do it strictly with a credit card, debit card type thing there. So there you go. 925 is our goal. We got to have that total amount by the end of the day on Wednesday. So let's start getting this stuff in so we don't get any of the, last minute red alert situations. We did well last month and we're able to avoid that. So let's do that again this month because, man, now is the time. I guess it's because over the past, I don't know, I had so many health problems last year and I've gotten over all that stuff. But the closer I get to having these films done, man, the more fired up I get. I tell you, I'm more fired up about this stuff right now than I ever have been. And again, I just want to take a minute to thank all of you. So you have to, when you do this kind of shit, man, you don't understand how much negativity and haters and shit talkers and everything else you have to deal with. So when I get to converse and talk to you out there and talk to those of you who actually get what I'm trying to do here and who are nice and decent and respectful and contribute and stuff. I just want to take a minute to tell you how much I appreciate you guys. I really do. I really mean it. I really appreciate you guys. And look, none of this is possible without you guys. There were chances in the past. I mean, like I said, man, everybody else is, selling out to advertisers and sponsors and the rest of this stuff. And, again, this is completely 100% everything that I've ever done with all these films and all these shows and all the great breakthroughs and mind-blowing stuff I found. Again, if you haven't seen Mystery Hollywood, that 5-part series, you got to get that. Get that in the download shop. But all of this continued work, man, and all these continued breakthroughs and the research and the stuff I continue to find out and it's all because of you guys and your support. That's why it's so important that you contribute and help us keep going. And we can't do it without you. So please, right now, I need all my soldiers to stand up and many hands make light work and throw in so we can do this, cover these operating costs and continue on. And I can continue to get the work done and kick these motherfuckers right in the teeth because that's what I was put here to do. And you know it and I know it. So let's do this. Did any of you guys see the Avengers Endgame over the weekend? Like the biggest movie of all time now? I'm sure, I'm always somebody who's well far off from, I always have a saying, whatever the mainstream, most of the time, whatever the mainstream is into is something I'm probably not going to be into it. But so I know there's a lot of people out there that hate the comic movies, they absolutely hate them. They don't watch them. They think it's crap. But I unapologetically, man, I just can say 100%. I don't care who it pisses off. I love them. I fucking love the Marvel movies. I grew up with that shit. I mean, it's a dream come true to me. It really is. I grew up, 13, 14, 15, 16, dreaming about this shit. And I knew it was going to come. Me and my friends used to talk. We knew it was coming. We were like, one day, these fucking stories are going to be all the movies. Like, we used to talk about that and talk about which ones we wanted them to make and stuff like that. But, man, I saw Avengers Endgame. Full disclosure, I did not pay to go see it. I'm just going to be real with you, 100. Keep it 100 like I always do for you. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't bullshit you. I don't fucking beat around the bush. I always give it to you straight. Yeah, I watch. But with that said, I still plan to go see it in a theater, which I could afford to. But, man, they got this fucking Chinese copy out there, bruh. Ugh. God damn. The Chinese came hard on Endgame, y'all. They came hard with it. I mean, there's some shit cam versions out there. And look, don't fucking email me. Do not, because I'm not going to fucking respond. Do not email me asking me for a link. Use a little bit of brain power. Do a little bit of searching. You can find a copy online. Do not contact me and ask me to send me a link. You got to find that on your own. But I did see this China version that was fucking, I mean, this motherfucker was straight off the reels, y'all. This was like not a cam or anything. Beautiful audio. I mean, it had some Chinese letters onto the top that kind of go scroll across the top for a few seconds during the movie, but it wasn't anything that was completely watchable. And wow, man, that fucking movie was crazy. I'm not going to spoil anything, give any spoils away. The only thing I'm going to say that it's not a spoiler because you don't know what I'm not saying anything that's going to happen. I'm not going to ruin anything for you for the movie at all. I promise you that. But I watching it, I did have to comment on something because it's just really interesting. There, if you've seen, this will make sense to you. If you've seen the Mystery Hollywood presentation, if you haven't, then you need to go watch it. Then it'll make more sense to you. But I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that saw it that probably went, oh, shit, Josh has to see this. I wonder what he's going to say when he sees this. Because one of the, and again, this could be classified as a spoiler, and if you get mad about me saying this, I'm not going to give away anything. I'm going to tell you what happens. I'm not going to ruin anything for the movie. But one of the elements of the movie is time travel. So I'm sorry if you get butthurt about that and you're fucking mad, but one of the elements, but I mean, if you're mad about that, you're a moron because that's the fucking go-to for sci-fi in general, isn't it? I mean, once you paint yourself into a corner with plot holes, just like they do with those X-Men movies, remember that? What'd they do? Predictably. Just like they do every time. Introduce time travel. Then any issues you have with discrepancies of plot holes, boom, those can be wiped away easily with time travel. So if you saw Infinity War, then, you should know that this one deals with time travel. And what's interesting is that, again, if you've seen Mystery Hollywood, and you see what I present in that film, and this idea of how they continue to push portals, wormholes, stargates. They've continued to push this in Hollywood movies. It continues to be a big thing. And as I've talked about, they're hinting towards something something big in the future, I think, concerning those topics. And so in Avengers Endgame, they introduce time travel, and then they proceed to take the piss out of time travel movies. They mention a bunch of the other time travel movies and basically say that they got it wrong. And as you've seen, if you saw my Mystery Hollywood 5-part presentation over 9 hours, get it now. One of the big things that's in that presentation that ties into the work as far as I did exposing the Under the Silver Lake film is the movie Back to the Future. And that's one of the things that they talk shit on and basically dog and say is, well, I'm not going to give it, it's not going to give anything away, but they basically call, in so many words, they call Back to the Future bullshit. And, So for that, it was interesting that, at least for once, if they were going to do a time travel thing, they did it differently than it's been done in other movies. So I got to say, though, all that aside, it was a great movie. It really was. It was really fucking great. If you like the superhero movies, if you're into the Marvel stuff, it's great. I don't get into all that other shit. I'll watch them, but I was never a DC fan growing up that much. I was into Batman and stuff like that. I read a lot of the early graphic novels, the Dark Knight graphic novels, which were fucking insane. I read those when I was a teenager, but I was always really Team Marvel, pretty much all the way. My dad was Team Marvel too. He was had all the original, Fantastic Four and all the rest of that. But so yeah, it was great though. I mean, the cast is just insane. They pretty much brought everybody back from all the previous films. The battle scenes were insane, and there weren't any. There in a few of these Marvel movies. Yeah, there have been. Not entire movies that I would say are completely agenda driven, but some agenda driven things in a lot of the movies. But this one, I would say probably, this didn't really have anything in it. I would say it is agenda worthy, except if you think about that Back to the Future thing and the time travel thing. Because as soon as I saw that, I was sitting there going, wow. This is exactly the point I was making earlier. I started that at the end of 2018 and finished the other parts in early 2019 this year. But, that was exactly the point I was making, how they continue to push these ideas and, portals and time travel always seem to play into it. So, but yeah, if you're a fan of the movies, listen, even if you're a casual fan, even if you haven't seen, what other one was good? The last one was really good too. Captain Marvel was really good. Really fucking good. But this one's just spectacular. If you've seen most of the Marvel movies that have come out since 2008, starting with Iron Man, Captain America and the Hulk and Thor and all those, and Black Panther, it was good. It was really good. Astoundingly good. Astonishingly good. God damn. There's some shit in there. And also the final cameo appearance by Stan Lee after the death of him. So, but I do have to say, even if you haven't seen all of those, you'll still enjoy the movie if you watch it. And even if you're not necessarily 100% totally into the Marvel movies, but you're kind of a casual fan and you'll watch them sometimes and they don't get on your nerves, but you're not a huge fan, you should definitely still watch this one. It really is. There's a reason why that motherfucker made so much fucking money, because there's so much shit that gets pumped out. And not all, I don't think all the comic book movies are great. I like that first Deadpool, and then the second one was garbage. Hot garbage. But the performances in Avengers Endgame, to me, was the biggest standout. The special effects are beyond, they're fucking fantastic. They always are. And they took it to a whole nother level with this one. But the performances, you could really tell, that everybody was taking this film, because, listen, a lot of these actors, when they first signed up for these movies, when they first started doing them, a lot of these actors didn't expect this kind of response. They didn't think these movies would be making billions of dollars. Nobody really ever anticipated that. And I think in some of the early ones, you can kind of see that. But I think because just the stakes were so high with the story and everything, and because the previous ones have made so much money now, there's really a change in the performances where, I think a lot of people everybody is good in this movie. I don't think there's a single bad performance or any bad acting in Endgame at all, because that's, I don't know if I can say that about it. Infinity War was good. I don't remember, if I watch it again, I might could pick out some things, but I don't remember there necessarily being any bad acting with that. The biggest one for me that I was always critical of, and who've always been critical of, was Scarlett Johansson. Just because she always talk like this, like no emotion, no nothing, just it's flat as fucking flat paint, just fucking duller than dishwater. That's my impersonation of Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow in most of the Marvel movies. Bruce, Matt Damon, just flat as flat can be. But not the case in this one. I gotta be real. I gotta give it up. I've never been a big Scarlett Johansson fan. I'd give it up to her. She was fucking fantastic in game, and everybody was. All the performances were great in it. It really was. The cast is insane. They really got everybody from all the previous movies in it, and it really is enjoyable. So, if you're on the fence about seeing the movie or, something like that, listen, how many times since Iron Man came out in 2008, I got up here and told you to go see a Marvel movie? I don't think there's ever been another time I've ever done it besides now. Never. But it's really good. It really is. Really fucking good. I enjoyed the shit out of it just because, and I understand the complaints that people have with those movies because they're, people say, oh, they're all the same. It's all, good guys, bad guys. The good guys always win. And of course, at the end of Infinity War, you find, that was not the case. Basically, everybody died. So the way they resolved that and stuff in this one was really good, and it was done well. And I don't know where they go next, though. If you look at the schedule, because they're calling this the end of what they call Marvel Phase 3. Technically, the last of Marvel Phase 3 will be that Spider-Man movie coming out later in the year, which I'm sure will be terrible. Those new Spider-Man ones with the young Spider-Man standalone movies have been terrible, but he's good as Spider-Man in the Avengers movies. But those have been, I don't know what they're trying to do. A lot of those secondary Marvel movies, a lot of them aren't great. Some of them are, and they're surprising. Black Panther, I there was a lot made about Black Panther. People were saying, oh, if you didn't like it, you're racist and all this. And that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure there probably were some people out there like that, but for me, it wasn't that I thought it was a bad movie or anything. It was just unnecessary at the time. They should have done the fucking Black Panther movie right after they came out with the Captain America movie. They waited too fucking long to put out that Black Panther movie. In as far as the story, I mean, they waited till they were almost at the end of the whole thing. It just made no sense. It felt like they were trying to shoehorn it in there. So it wasn't bad to me. It was just unnecessary. Those Spider-Man, those were not that great, but they do tie into the other movies, so they're okay to watch. The Ant-Man movies, But what's crazy is with all the side secondary movies like that, Captain Marvel was definitely the best of the best as far as the secondary movies go. But with Endgame, another one that was that I didn't know was a comedy was Thor Ragnarok. That was a straight up just comedy. I mean, it was hilarious. But what I liked about Endgame was that even though those sort of secondary characters that had their own movies like Black Panther and Ant-Man and Wasp and all that, even though their secondary movies themselves weren't all that great, the way their characters came into Endgame, into the story, and participated in the story was fantastic. And so even though their standalone movies might not have been all that great, they were justified in the plot of Endgame because everybody has an individual part, and the way they were able to incorporate all those actors and get everybody at least some screen time in there. I think that's, I can't imagine fucking trying to do that. I can't imagine. I mean, anybody could do it, but to do it well like that and not make it seem hokey, they did a good job with that. So there you go. Definitely check that movie out if you're a fan. If you're not, go watch Fight Club for the 5,000th time. I love watching old movies too. I watch old movies all the time. I watch movies I've seen 1,000 times. Nothing wrong with it. I fucking see RoboCop, the first one, 5,000 times, but you put it on right now, I'll watch it. Fuck yeah, I'll watch it. Maximum Overdrive? Fuck yeah, I'll watch Maximum Overdrive right now. Hell yeah. Buckaroo Bonds, I'll watch that shit right now. But, yeah, it kind of does get old, though, when you get people, I'm not watching that stupid thing. What are you going to watch? I'm watching The Godfather. Fuck, you're going to watch The Godfather for the 5,000th fucking time? Pretty sure you know how that ends, bro. Well, I don't get that. You don't like anything new. And people do that with music, too. Oh, music sucks. I'm going to listen to Van Halen 2 again for the 8,000th time. People get jaded and, you know. There's a lot of crap out there, but there's a lot of good, too. Like, you know, that's with anything. Music, movies. People all the time, oh, it's not like it used to be, and there's not any good movies like there used to be, and there's not good bands and good music like there used to be. Yeah, there is. It's just not gonna flop like a fucking, you know, like a fish into your lap anymore like it used to. I mean, you just turn on TV, turn on radio, go to a movie, you know, back in the day, and, you know, you get greatness. Now you have to go searching for it. It's watered down. There's way more movies. There's way more music. There's way more bands and stuff than there ever used to be. And most people just don't have the time anymore. So they just rather get, you know, Apple Music or fucking Spotify or something. Pay for that subscription. Pay for Netflix. Pay for Hulu. And that's it. You know, they'll probably watch the stuff they're used to watching or, you know, listen to the stuff they're used to listening to. But as far as trying to explore and find new music and stuff, man, most people, you know, with the daily 9-to-5 grind and trying to stay, you know, above water, just don't take the time to look anymore. You know, there's not MTV to rely on, you know, in 120 minutes like it used to be, where you'd find out about cool underground bands. It's just not that anymore. There's just fewer outlets. Way more product, way fewer outlets, and it's way hard to find stuff now. But it's out there. You know, it's out there if you look. There are still people complain all the time that, oh, every movie that comes out is just comic book movies now, and there's no other good movies other than that. Well, that's not true either. They're just not doing movies the way they used to do them. You know, before the comic book era, remember, everything was either action adventure, sci-fi, rom-com, or, you know, historical films or that kind of thing. And so something did need to change. You know, I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but God, there's so many great stories that still haven't even been done yet. And so it's going to be interesting to see now that Disney owns everything. I mean, is there anything they don't own at this point? They don't own DC yet. I suspect they probably will. They'll probably buy fucking Warner Brothers eventually. They'll just own everything. It's always curious to me, though, how certain people get called out for running monopolies and others don't. I guess when you got that Disney money, you can pay off anybody that might complain. They just send a fucking mouse over to your house with a bag of cash. You shut your mouth now, and I'll give you a bunch of hundreds. Fucking Mickey shows up with a bag of cash. Listen, you don't know nothing, okay? Just take the money and keep your mouth shut, and everything will be fine. I think that's what they do. I think that's why nobody's fucking yelling about a monopoly with fucking Disney. Listen, just send the mouse over to this house with a bag of cash. They'll shut him up quick. How much do you want? Okay, day. But it's going to be interesting to see, because if you look at the schedule for what's coming out over the next few years on the schedule for Marvel movies, they're being real tight-lipped about what the Marvel Comics universe, cinematic universe rather, where it's going to go in stage 4. They're being real tight-lipped about it right now. In my opinion, I think it could really only go, because if you, again, like I was about to say, if you look at the movies that are coming out on the schedule, it's all these secondary character movies. And after you watch Endgame, you're kind of like, it doesn't make any sense. You're like, why? It seems unnecessary. I mean, they're doing another Black Panther movie, Black Panther 2. They're doing another Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They're doing another. I don't know if they're doing another Captain Marvel. They're doing a standalone Black Widow film, which is just weird. That to me seems unnecessary. Seems like they should have done that 4 or 5 years ago. And then they've got a bunch of new TV series shows that are going to be coming on when Disney rolls out their Netflix killer streaming service very soon. So a lot of that, but they're being real tight-lipped. If there's anything big, there's no more Avengers movies on the roster. There isn't anything big that, they do these secondary movies, but the Avengers has kind of been their flagship major big film, but there's nothing replacing that. And I think now they own 20th Century Fox. And if you don't know, 20th Century Fox has long ago bought all the rights to many of the Marvel. That's why you don't see a lot of the Marvel stuff in the current Marvel Comics universe. They had the rights to X-Men and Spider-Man. They got that back. But stuff like Fantastic Four and a whole slew of other characters, the New Mutants, Cable, Deadpool, all that. And if you followed the comics and stuff like I did when I was a kid, after you had the end of the original Avengers, you had many incarnations of what they called the New Avengers. And the New Avengers had stuff like, some of the characters you already know from the Avengers, like Spider-Man, I think the Hawk, and like Black Panther. But then you had other characters like Wolverine. Like a lot of people don't. I've said that to people, and they don't have no idea. Wolverine wasn't in the Avengers. He sure as fuck was. He was in the New Avengers. So I think that's what everybody's wondering now is, are they going to start incorporating? Now that there's no holds barred for Disney now as far as the Marvel Universe goes. They can do anything they want. And I think after seeing Endgame, they're going to have to do something to step up the game, because they're not. I don't see them being able to last very long on just these tertiary, secondary, Black Panther 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I mean, I don't know. And reading the synopsis of those so far, it just seems like, wait a minute here. So I was curious to see where they're going to go next. They're going to have to go somewhere big, and I think the only where big they can go is to, start introducing some of those other characters that Fox has had the rights to for all these years. All the X-Men characters, Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer. That's why I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy came out and I saw the first pictures of the characters, I was like, what the fuck is this? Because I used to read Guardians of the Galaxy, and let me tell you, it wasn't no Rocket Raccoon and the Antenna Chick and, Star-Lord. It wasn't that at all. It was completely different. It had completely different characters. Galacticus was in there. You also saw in the Silver Surfer comics and stuff. But what I found out was that that's because that was part of what Fox owned the rights to. So when they wanted to do their own Guardians of the Galaxy a couple of years before the movie came out, Marvel started a new Guardians of the Galaxy comic, introduced those characters, and then introduced them in the movie. But it's nothing like, if you were reading those comics, Guardians of the Galaxy, like I was, it was nothing like what we see in the movies now at all, which is fine. They're two separate universes. They're not meant to be the same thing, but my point is there's so much there now that they could do that would be great. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it, because, like I said, just from the way I'm seeing it now, the stuff I'm seeing now on the coming 2020 and 2021 Marvel schedule, doesn't look too impressive to me. Doesn't look too impressive at all. It looks like they're really going to start leaning heavy on their TV shows they're going to make for the streaming service and all that. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. With this movie, though, it very much feels like an end. Although I know we are going to see some characters come back in the future, but I don't know. We'll see. Let's get into the news. I got a shit ton. And yes, if you didn't know it, shit ton is actually a measurement of stuff. It's legit. Well, I saw this, and I got to tell you, when I saw this, it made my spidey sense tingle. Because I don't have to tell you guys. Anytime they're doing drills, no matter what those drills might be, they love running real events aside these drills. And I've talked about this for years, and it's coming. It's going to come eventually. They've had this technology for years. They've had stuff floating around up there for years. But because of the treaties and the ban on space-based weapons, a lot of these gravity bombs and things can't be legally tested. And that's really the future of space warfare, and how they're going to change the world in the future is with gravity bombs. You don't like that X-37B or whatever that thing, the mysterious black thing that's been up there for however long, totally top secret, nobody, stuff like that. That's what they've got. It's rumored that may even be one. But gravity bombs are game changers because they completely do away with the need for nuclear weapons. Because you can drop one of these gravity bombs from orbit onto any city and completely wipe out a city or an area or whatever it may be with the same impact and effect that you would have from a nuclear weapon, with zero fallout, zero radioactivity or anything else. I mean, other than like the neutron bomb, which only destroys organic materials, the gravity bomb is very fearsome. And I've been saying it for a long time. I'm going to continue to say it. I believe that's what the next quote-unquote false flag attack thing is going to be. And I think they're going to blame it. They're going to use it and blame it on an asteroid impact, and use the front cover, the lie of this supposed asteroid impact, to actually do an illegal test of one of these space-based gravity bombs. And I think it may be coming soon, because they've got to be able to test one of these things before they can really put them into work. And with so much going towards the idea of space-based weapons, and how much money's been putting towards that, billions, trillions being put towards it, it increased through all the previous administrations here in the United States. It's increasing worldwide. But I believe that's what they're going to do. They're going to launch one of these gravity bombs from orbit on a city to test it, decimate the city, and because it can create a crater, and because they could really make it seem like it was a natural phenomenon that happened, an asteroid impact or something like that, that's what they will then use to sell us on this idea of a planetary defense system, and how we need this space-based weapon system, and we need to do away with these space weapon treaties so that we can protect Earth from incoming impacts. And then once they sell us on that, then they'll sell us on the idea of the whole staged alien invasion thing, where they sell us on we have to weaponize space to protect ourselves from invading aliens. So when I saw this, it really made my spidey sense tingle, I got to tell you. NASA, FEMA, and international partners plan asteroid impact exercise. Listen, those are the people that would be involved to do it, aren't they? Aren't they? While headlines routinely report on close shaves and near misses when near-Earth objects, NEOs, that's interesting, as in Neo from the Matrix, such as asteroids or comets pass relatively close to Earth, the real work preparing for the possibility of a Neo impact with Earth goes mostly out of the public eye. I got to be honest, before I even read any more of this article, I got to be honest with you. I don't believe that all the impacts that we have been told that are from comets and asteroids and the rest of this, I don't believe they're from that. I don't believe they're from that at all. I believe they are from these ancient weapons that were unleashed on the earth long in the past. I believe this planet was terraformed in the past by an intelligent race that were looking to start over. You ever see with Star Trek, was it Wrath of Khan? Remember that? Search for Spock, where they got the Genesis Project? And that's what they put Spock's body in. Remember that? And they shot it. They found a planet because they had to find a planet that had absolutely no life on it. They done scans that didn't find any life, but there ended up being some microbes or something there. So when they shot this Genesis thing to terraform this planet in it, and it had Spock's body in it, the regeneration that was terraforming the planet also brought him back to life as well. When you look at the moon, with the craters that are on the moon, yet there's, from the picture we've seen and from telescopes and stuff, there are no big chunks of rock laying around anywhere, anything that you would expect to see. Because that goes back to the ancient texts and stuff. Talk about, that's why the Earth has such a weird, our moon doesn't act like every other moon we see. It acts like it's like a satellite, like it's an artificial construct or something. And the surface of the moon looks like it was hit with these ancient weapons. And of course, there's even stuff in that in the ancient stories about the Anunnaki and stuff about them being pursued by this other race of extraterrestrials. If what we're told is true about asteroid impacts and comet impacts, all this stuff was true, we would see them on a much more frequent basis. When you see how much time has passed on Earth since these things have happened, and you look into this stuff, it becomes very clear after a while that, among other things, asteroid impacts and stuff like that, we've been manipulated and lied to about that among, pretty much everything else. And just like Dr. Werner von Braun talked about in his final days, the paperclip Nazi, that was one of the big things he said they were going to do. The propagated, created fake phony threats was going to be, one of them was going to be the threat of asteroids, and all of it, and then aliens, and all of it was a pretext to weaponize space. So, yeah, this makes it very clear. NASA, FEMA. I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to say that they're going to launch one of these gravity bombs during this supposed drill that's going on, but listen, if they start when this thing goes live and they start doing this drill, if we get hit during that time, well, that's going to be something completely different altogether, isn't it? I think they're definitely moving towards this, and the fact that they're having these kind of drills all of a sudden, but at the same time, over the past, 10, 11 years, there has been a massive increase in the amount of fireballs, what people are saying are meteors. I don't know. I've seen stuff coming down out of the sky the past 10 years that you'd never seen before. Big sparking green stuff coming out of the sky. I think a lot of that stuff is, a lot of people believe there's been an ongoing space war out there going on for many, many years now, and that Trump's space organization and Space Force thing is a continuation of that. There's a lot of evidence, especially when you look at some of the stuff that covert people on the inside have talked about, like the Hughes Satellite Corporation having those hunter killer satellites that could shoot down UFOs as early as 1969. Those have been around the Earth since then. There's a lot of video. There's that famous shot where you see you've probably seen it, where you see like this UFO, unidentified object coming into the fucking Earth's atmosphere, and this fucking beam shoots up from the ground and out of the atmosphere, and the thing shoots off into space and narrowly avoids it. They've been shooting down UFOs, ladies and gentlemen, for decades. They've had the kind of weapons where they can shoot stuff down for a long time. The problem is black budget funding for these things only goes so far. Eventually, you need the public to pay for them. Same thing why they've kind of slowly started to acclimate the public to atmospheric aerosol spraying and geoengineering the climate and stuff. Chemtrails, they've been doing it for years. But these black budgets, man, they're only allowed so much, and they need those budgets for other things. So eventually they have to start rolling these things out to the public and do it slowly. And that's the case they're running into with space-based weapons. They need more funding than they can get from black budget funding to create the kind of weapons they need for total control. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is just like, 9/11. They're going to need something pretext. They're going to need something to sell on. So asteroids and aliens would pretty much fucking do it. I don't know if anything else would do it better than that. For more than 20 years, NASA and its international partners have been scanning the skies for blah, blah, blah. In the spirit of better communication, next week at the 2019 Planetary Defense Conference, NASA and other U.S. agencies and space science institutions, along with international partners, will participate in a tabletop exercise that will play out a realistic but fictional scenario for an asteroid on impact trajectory with Earth. Oh, I mean, it's been a while since I've done it. But what they're trying to bring in with this. Don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing. That's what they're trying to bring in, the fucking Armageddon. Or goddamn, that was a terrible movie, wasn't it? Oh, man. I remember when it came out, I was like 20. I was like, this movie's fucking great. I was an idiot. It hurt my throat doing the fucking shitty Steven Tyler. Oh, my God. That song's the worst. I can't stand Aerosmith. Sorry, Aerosmith fans. Not a fan. I don't know. It had some good shit in the 70s, but past the 70s, What's most interesting about this drill thing is that if this is just a quote-unquote tabletop exercise, right, where you're just playing out scenarios, I mean, is it necessary to have FEMA on board with it? I mean, I know the argument is, because that's what they're saying here, I know we have to coordinate with those people to decide what we'll do. Well, why would it be any different than when a hurricane or something comes? FEMA's going to do the same shit they always do. Not jack shit. Please, give me a fucking break. FEMA hurts more than it helps. And they had those tornadoes recently here in Texas, in East Texas. I got a lot of family in that area. None of my family was harmed or anything, and they didn't lose their homes, but I think it was like Alto, Texas, and some of those places around there. And FEMA decided not to help those people. They need help. A lot of people lost their homes and businesses and houses and schools and everything. And so a lot of the people that lived there were outraged. And, I saw a lot of posts on Facebook about it. But, man, you're better off. You're better off if FEMA don't come. They're not there to help anything. They're there to make things worse. Remember what they did with Katrina? And the fucking toxic trailers they sent? I mean, they're going to send trailers for you to live in, for temporary housing, but I mean, every one of them was like that. And all those people got sick. I mean, that shit was done on purpose, man. That was not a mistake. So anyway, just the fact that FEMA would be working closely with NASA on these drills, it just, it's totally suspect. I don't know how you can see it any other way but that. This story is actually from about a year ago. It's from last August, but I didn't see it until now. And it's fascinating to me because it's something I've talked about and theorized about before. When I've talked about the rock wall, and I think I talked about, maybe mentioned some of this in the Mystery Hollywood presentation, but I've said for years that I thought this was the case, but really once I started studying the rock wall, I became more convinced that, people they're always trying to come up with, next generation propulsion systems and stuff like that for space travel. And I talked about the rock wall, because it has piezoelectrical properties to it and produces voltage, mass amounts of voltage and energy whenever low frequency oscillation sound waves are applied to it. And I remember saying on the show not long ago, a few months ago, I think, that I believe 100% that the key to these sort of next generation propulsion systems are not going to be produced by burning fuel and burning gas or anything. I believe that the way to produce true anti-gravity is going to be from sound. And I think that's been the missing thing. But people have known about this for a long time, but I think it's one of the main things that's been suppressed. Do you remember, well, you guys have seen like the old, it's kind of funny how they phase this out after a while, speaking of sci-fi movies and stuff. But remember when people first started reporting UFO sightings, it really happened in mass right around, the start of the nuclear age, right around the end of World War II. But there had been many before that as well. But one of the things that you always saw depicted, and if you're watching the old sci-fi movies or old sci-fi TV shows or anything like that, you remember the sound that UFOs used to make in old sci-fi movies? You guys remember that? And then they phase that out after a while. But what did you always have every time you had the sometimes you use a theremin and stuff to do it, to make that sort of, but that's what you would always see, right? Remember that? Anytime they would show a UFO, it would have this like a whistling sound, like an oscillation of sound. And that was not just something somebody made up. That's because many of the early UFO sightings that people used to see, they would report an oscillating sound in conjunction with the UFO sighting. And then after a while, they just became silent. You didn't, I've never personally seen one myself that made any sound. I've seen a lot of UFOs. I've never personally seen one that made any sound. I did see one time that literally looked like something straight up out of fucking Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, straight up. It looked like an ice cream cone with lights around it. It literally, it's the only time I've ever seen anything. I saw one like that one time. It was during a rainstorm, and it came over a big tree. It was out in the country. And it was great. I mean, it was, I can't even say anything else about it other than that. It is just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that. Because this fucker was low and close, man. And it was like a mile from where my friend's dad and his grandpa back in the early 80s, literally not even a mile, like half a mile, they saw this, a green orb come out of this big pond on their property. And then probably 20 years after that, right in the same area, I saw a treetop come level. It looked like something straight out of it. It was all lit up, blue, red, green, had colors, flashing intermittent colors that went all the way around it. I'll tell you in retrospect, I think it was some kind of secret military thing or something. I don't think it was fucking little green man. It just looked too ostentatious, man. It was just really, it was too, it scared the shit out of me though. I have to say, it initiated a fear response in me, gave me that fear in my gut that none of the other sightings that I've seen did. None of the other ones that I've ever seen made me feel scared, or this thing made me feel scared because it literally came right. I mean, it was a tall tree that I saw it come over. And I was at my mom's house way out in the country, and it came over the top of the trees slowly, and had, just like you see, it was the intermittent flashing, different colored lights that went around it, and the patterns would change, and sometimes they would fucking spin and circle around and come back the other way. That's the only one I've ever seen like that. It was a classic UFO. I've seen the Batarang thing. I saw it several times. That thing was crazy. It looks like you can look it up. I've seen it several times. It looks like the Batarang, Batman's boomerang. And I saw it jump to hyperspeed one night, and it literally left a trail behind it. You know how, like, when you see I saw that thing twice, by the way. At the same space. It was a house I lived at for like 5 or 6 years. I saw it twice, and there were some other people that lived in that house that I knew before I moved there, and they saw it twice too in the same area. And it looked, you know how when you see the light trails behind like the Millennium Falcon when it goes into hyperspeed in Star Wars, it was like that. Not as like bright and pronounced as that. Obviously that's for a movie, it's over the top. But literally, I saw this thing hovering. It looked like the Batarang. It was yellowish colored. It was way up there. It hovered. It fucking boom, just sped off, but it left like a little light trail for just a few seconds behind it. I saw that twice. But it seems they're onto this now, and I think any suppression of this knowledge is exactly that, suppression. Sound waves are a form of anti-gravity because they have negative mass. Boom! From newscientist.com from August last year. This is what I've been talking about. Heavy metal isn't heavy after all. It's actually the opposite. Sound waves have mass and can interact via gravity, but that mass is negative. In other words, sound floats upwards. Angelo Esposito at Columbia University in New York and his colleagues calculated the relationship between sound and gravity, taking into account complicated particle interactions that had previously been ignored. They found that although their effect is small, sound waves should have a negative gravitational mass. It's almost like anti-gravity, says Ira Rothstein. They're probably not Jewish. Nah. Not that that's either here or there, but I laugh at those fucking names sometimes. Every time I see one of those real fucking, you're like, that's surprised that person's Jew. And that's what I call the Jewy Jewenstein name. And, balls. Well, that's all you get for all that article. Won't let me read anymore. Wants me to subscribe to become a premium member. Sorry, not going to do it. But thanks for proving what I've been saying for a long time. What else we got? Let's see here. Hollywood legend Audrey Hepburn was a World War II resistance spy. I mean, what have I been telling you, man? Listen, this has been going on forever. This is not anything new. This stuff like I talk about with spellcasters and all this stuff. And I've talked about Chuck Barris before. And I've talked about CIA Clooney and, now the more modern ones like Rogan and others. I mean, people don't like to think this stuff is a conspiracy theory, but people in Hollywood have been doubling as covert spies for enemies and for governments, foreign and domestic, both for the United States government and for domestic for years. So this doesn't surprise me at all. But yeah, Audrey Hepburn, spy for, of all countries, the Dutch. What? Well, she wasn't exactly aiming for the stars there, was she? That's just bizarre. How the fuck do you go... How and why would you become a spy for the Dutch? I mean, I guess if you're going to do it, that's the most harmless way to do it. You absolutely have to do it, but my God, the Dutch. All right. She was one of Hollywood's most celebrated actresses, but Audrey Hepburn had a role that few knew about, spy. And unlike the characters that she portrayed on screen, playing this part could literally mean life or death. The can I not say that word? Maddeningly. The maddeningly private actress. Maddeningly. That's not a word you see used every day. I think this was written by AI. Who died in 1993, had dropped hints about her work with the Dutch resistance during World War II, and now a new book puts the whole story together, providing an in-depth look at her life during the conflict. Dutch girl, Audrey Hepburn in World War II. So, I mean, again, I bet if we actually knew not only how many current ones there are. You know what a big indicator is? Those, what do they call it? What do they call the things where they go over and do stuff for the troops? Like, what is it, RSO? Is that what it is? Like Bob Hope and them, when they go over, any of those people, a lot of those people. If you ever hear about certain comics or certain actors, certain people like that doing those RSO things, generally, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but generally a lot of the time, that RSO stuff is code for their, active covert agents. And that's how they get these people in and out of country, is by using the perfect cover, which is them being a celebrity. That's exactly what they did with Chuck Barris. It was hilarious what they did with that, They came up with the idea, had to figure out how to get them into these countries. And if you go watch some of those old episodes, you can see that shit where you've won a trip to lovely West Germany. You won a trip to Poland. You used to see that on, I remember when I was a kid, man, in the 80s, you used to see that on The Price is Right, too, which made me wonder if Bob Barker was a covert agent himself. Because they did that I remember there's a few times back in the day in the 80s, man, with Price is Right. It'd be like, you just won a trip to the lovely Chechnya. But in the case of Chuck Barris, that's what they do. They give away the dating game trips to whatever couple would win, and the prize would be wherever the next job is for where they wanted to send Chuck Barris to do a kill. So his cover to go in and out of the country, his cover was he's there to chaperone the couple on their trip that they won for being on the dating game, and then, he does his kill while he's there. Let's see. Oh, this came out a couple weeks ago. I thought I would have saw more people screaming and yelling about it. The problem is the people that usually scream and yell about this, well, they don't want to scream and yell. You got those times anytime. And I used to, I was like that for a short time, I guess. But, like Alex Jones and others and a lot of these brainwashed alt-right truthers and stuff. Anytime the term New World Order is used, they have a fucking freak out. And I was wondering, I was like, hey, how come nobody's freaking out about this? Well, it's because they don't want you to know that that's exactly what these motherfuckers are a part of doing. Russia says New World Order being formed. I thought this would have been all over the way. You think somebody like Jones would be all over this. Nah. They don't want you to know they're actually a part of bringing in that New World Order. The New World Order they've been screaming at about is really the one they're being helped to bring in with Russia and etc. Russia Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov declared today that the Western liberal model of society is dying and a New World Order is taking place. Oh, man, fuck those Russians. Lavrov made the comments that is, listen, the pinko commie lefty liberals are fucking crap too, but all this Cold War shit and all that, it's been lies. It's all been lies. The United States, Britain, all the rest of these fucking countries, we've all been in bed with the Russians for years, and now they're making a power play, and now they want to have they want control of the world's resources. That's what they're trying to do. They want to take over states, nation states, and countries by proxy. They want to wage war to gain control of the resources so that the Soviet Union can rise again and be the fucking world superpower. And they want to kill a bunch of people to do it and continue the work of Stalin. It's been going on. There are forces in the United States and abroad who have been working to make this happen for decades, and they have been simultaneously, while they've been doing it, posing as patriots and heroes and pro-constitutionalists and pro-gun rights and conservatives and the rest of it. And it's all a fucking lie. This is the real key to understanding why the whole left-right paradigm is a lie. Because it's only there for the sheep, and it's only there to allow people to be distracted away from knowing what the global plan is. That's not even the most bonkers thing I've seen. I've got it somewhere here in my stack. I don't know where it's something about. Oh, here it is. I found it. Stalin's approval rating among Russians hits record high. I mean, everybody goes, every time somebody calls somebody, like Hillary, they call her Hitlery. Oh, he's a Hitler, or oh, that's another Hitler, or Saddam Hussein's the new Hitler. Dude, Stalin makes Hitler look like a fucking panty waist. Are you kidding me? Go look up how many people Stalin killed. This is what I'm trying to tell you, people. They lied to you when they told you Russia was a threat and Russia wasn't a threat, and now they're trying to make you think they aren't because they're in bed with them. Left, right, it doesn't matter. And that's really what the whole eugenics stuff is all about. A record 70% of Russians approve of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin's role in Russian history. According to a poll, his numbers are better than Trump's. Did Obama ever hit 70? Stalin's pulling down better numbers than any of our presidents have in 30, 40 years. And he killed millions. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Right here. Here it is. Stalin's image has been gradually rehabilitated in the 2000s from that of a bloody autocrat to an outstanding leader. Exactly. This is what's been going on. Russia has been quietly turning themselves back into even a more formidable power than they were prior to the fall of the Soviet Union, and America is asleep watching Dancing with the Stars while it's going on and thinking that the Mueller report is the end-all be-all. Give me a fucking break. President Vladimir Putin has revived the Soviet anthem, Soviet-style military parades, and a Soviet-era medal for labor during his presidency. See what I'm saying? 70% of Russian respondents told the Levada Center in 2019 that Stalin played a positive role for Russia. Stalin's previous record approval rating stood at 54% in 2013. So the propaganda is ongoing and continuous. It went from 54% in 2016 now to a record 70% in 2019. In 3 years, he's putting up better numbers than Trump is. And everybody thinks Trump is a big enemy. I'm no Trump fan. I'm no fan of any of these fucking politicians. You know that, but everybody's worried about Trump. Meanwhile, Russia's sitting over here bringing back Stalinism. I mean, it's just fucking unbelievable. Remember the kissing bug? Oh, what a nightmare. Remember you used to hear about those in the fucking nature specials in South America, how they climb up on you while you're asleep and then they take a shit on your lip, around your mouth. You drool and shit at night or you're sleeping and, you wipe that shit and then their fecal matter gets in your fucking system. And then 2 or 3 months later, you just fucking die. Boom. You're dead. You don't wake up. You just fall flat on your face. You're dead. Guess what? They found them in the United States now. Have fun sleeping tonight. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. No, I'm kidding. Jesus. Sleep tight. You don't live in Delaware, do you? You live in Delaware, you're fucked. I thought, to be honest with you, though, I live in Texas. Usually we get everything down here first. Fucking, no matter what it is. I would have thought Florida or Texas would have been first, Usually we get fucking killer bees. I remember when that was the big thing. Remember they told us back in the 90s killer bees were coming up from South America and we're going to start killing people here in Texas. Never happened, of course. The kissing bug, which bites people around their mouths and can pass along a fatal disease, Chagas, it doesn't bite you, it shits on your lip. Okay, y'all need to do your homework. Has officially made it to Delaware. In September, the Centers for Disease Control foreshadowed the deadly bloodsucker's arrival here. The government agency warned that it was making its way north from Central and South America and had been reported in such states as Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. But it wasn't until last week that the CDC confirmed an actual sighting in the first state. Well, listen, here in Texas, man, I mean, again, I'm not trying to say this for any racial background. I'm just saying it's a fact because of illegal immigration and stuff. I mean, look, We never used to have any those MRSA super bugs and bed bugs. I mean, they're just horrible now because people are bringing them up from South America and Mexico. It's just, it's the truth. Jesus, that's the stuff of nightmares right there. You ain't got enough to worry about. You got to worry about some nasty fucking bug pooping on your fucking lip when you go to sleep at night. Not even feeling that. All right. I'm going to stop right there. I got loads more to talk about for you tomorrow on the show. So I hope you'll tune in back with us again. This is our fundraising week. Got to reach our goal by the end of the day on Wednesday. Only 9:25 left to go. Get yourself one of those lifetime memberships if you want. Make a contribution, please. Many hands make light work. We need everybody pitching in and throwing in. And let's try to avoid any red alert situation, shall we? I love you guys so much. Nothing's possible without you. And I'm just continuing to be fired up. I've got to get back to work on the film and back to work with all this stuff, exposing these clowns, exposing what they're trying to do. We may not change the world, but God damn it, we're not going down without a fight. I love you guys. We'll see you next time. Take care.